Hey guys, I have got a Personna Platinum blade with 3 plus 10, 13 uses on it so far. We're going to put that inside this razor, Wolfman WR1. And it has a 54 gap, so it's lower, a more mild razor than the standard range that he offers with the WR1. And I like it. That's where I like it, as it turns out. I'm going to be using a soap. Expensive. Martin de Candre. Martin de Candre, if my high school French gets me a little closer to the right pronunciation. We're also going to be using, I believe this is a German brush, Shavemac. And this is a 2-band. And I think they call it a 2-band Silvertip, which is strange, but it's what they do. Haven't used it too much and just felt like using it today. Thought it would match pretty well with the soap. So let us load up. Haven't tried this blade in the Wolfman yet. This is one of those blades where I got a really good deal from somebody who apparently tried 100 of these blades and did not like them. And so they sold them to me for next to nothing. It says Personna Platinum Chrome on the actual blade. So here's what the Wolfman handle, Wolfman base plate looks like. So there we go. And then here's the top of it. Well, I'm glad it's made out of stainless steel, right? Here's the top cap. See, I was having to hold it so gingerly to show you that it was too ginger. And this is hilarious. If you heard the sound, then what you heard was the base plate landing in this paper cup that was down on the floor behind the trash can right there. So it didn't actually get dirty. It landed right in a clean paper cup that just had to been used for water. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with it. That is fortuitous. All right. Now the WR2 is another head from Wolfman, and this is an Italian barber handle, just for 15 bucks or so. Sometimes it's on sale for even better than that. It's stainless steel. I love the look. Works really well. Weighs just enough. I like it. And this is the WR1 head. See how slim and thin it is. That's just how it's made. And a lot of people love it. I love it too. And now that the blade is in there, I can go ahead and get my face wet. Notice this soap is almost new. I think I've used it one time. And this is a heavy soap, 200 grams of product inside. And it's expensive. If you want to pay for shipping from France, it's like 70 bucks for this. However, convert that into reality. Even if you take 70, and what some people do is they'll buy 2 and the shipping's the same. And so then that splits up the cost a little bit better for you. But even if you buy just 1 and you take a premium grade Crope, American Crope like Barrister and Man, Holy Cow, Noble Otter, Declaration Grooming, and you price that out for longer than a year's use, especially a year and a half or something like that, then you're starting to, this looks more and more like an attractive deal. It's not actually an expensive soap when you look at how the cost per shave when you do the math. I weighed it today, just now, and so I'm going to be able to track it over time. And I'll just put it in my rotation a little bit more. As spring is around the bend, this soap might get used more. This Vetiver scent is definitely a match for the springtime season, maybe summer. I'd say fall. I mean, it's kind of good. I like it any time of the year, to be honest with you, but especially spring and summer. Just a little water on my face. It's cool water tonight. Hard water at my location, and about 24 hours since my last shave. 20 seconds is what I recorded the last time I used this soap. Let's try that again. 20 seconds of loading. As my usual, I'll shake out a substantial portion of the water. All right, 20 seconds. Let's just see. Let's just see if that works. And that 20 seconds I told you about, I had tons of lather. Okay, there we are at 10 seconds. I believe. Sure is all frothy and stuff, huh? And there we go. I'm curious. It's very airy, light, but that doesn't necessarily reflect on what made it on the brush. All right, I'm going to rinse off the jar here. That's why it's great to have the waterproof labels, so you can keep the threads in the jar clean, because the lids can lock down on you if you get some soap buildup. All right, face is wet. Let's just go ahead and take my Roger Quintero lather bowl, brush rest, veins in there to help with lather generation, flange here on the bottom to hold it, and an inturned lip to help keep that lather inside. This handle is not very long. It's nice and thick, pretty stout in that regard, but it's not very long, and so that may be what causes me to maybe pass this brush on to somebody else, then keep an eye out for a nicer handle or something like that. But who knows? If I fall in love with the knot, this kind of reminds me of the Maggard SHD knot, and I have that as a fan, and it's a bigger bloom than this one. And so I might, if this one brings something more to the table, then I might keep it around. I could break this handle off. And I mean, it's an okay handle. I like the jade color. I'm not as much of a fan of the brown, but the brown portion of it, but that's just me. Now, right away, even before I added the 1 teaspoon of water, I could see that we've got a good bit of soap going on here, and so I bet it's not going to be a problem. That small amount of loading is going to give us plenty of lather. Yep, just a nice clean green vetiver. It's not a dirty or earthy vetiver. It's a nice scent. I might say it's unisex. It might be leaning toward the masculine. It's just not feminine, which is all I ask for. Stir for a bit. I forgot to look at how much water I added though, so I'm going to stir this around for a little bit, and then we'll feel of it and see how it goes. You know, a number of people have kind of rated this soap as overrated. And what I think I attribute that to is the perception that it's expensive. But like I said, if you actually map out the money and how much you're paying per shave and how long you'll be able to go using this puck of soap, it's really not an expensive soap. And I think if most people, because with the few times I've used this soap, if most people were to approach it more fairly like that, then I believe they wouldn't say it's overrated and say it's a very good soap for the price. It lathers well. I've just not had a problem lathering it at all. Thought I would have to test this, but it looks like it needs some water, so I'm not even going to feel it quite yet. The texture that makes me think it needs some more water is just the solidity of the lather. You see how you see those peaks right there? They're just not moving at all. They're small peaks. They're holding their shape. You see that little balcony hanging up on the lip and then underneath around in here. It's not falling down or anything. I mean, it's very, relatively speaking, it's rather firm. And so I wanted to add more water to it, but I don't want to push it too far. So I am going to feel the lather here, because I do have 3.5 teaspoons of water in it. Yeah, I don't want to take it too far, and that's got a nice slickness to it, nice viscosity. Now, if I squeeze hard, I can kind of push the slickness away to some degree. It's still there a little bit. But if I release just a little bit, the pressure on my fingers, then this really nice cushion, you can feel it, and it feels luxurious, and the slickness is there. So, who knows? This is one of those things where your fingers can tell you it's okay, then you get it on your face, and your face tells you that you need to add some water. And that's okay. I have that happen on a regular basis. I'm gambling that I probably will need to add some more water. So let's just look at how the lather is going to act as we kind of as we lift it out, as big of a glob as we can make it. Now look at those. You see those ridges and valleys? That's usually not seen on my lathers because they're usually wetter than that. But then we get around here and we are starting to see more of a consistent, flat and smooth type lather. Drops off in kind of a big amount. You see how it's springy almost. It's holding its shape easily. You can shake it and disturb it, but then it just bounces back. Even when I turn it sideways, it does start to move down just a little bit, but it's keeping its shape. So those are some things. Oh, and look at this guy right here. He is just not having a problem sticking out there in the middle of nowhere and maintaining his shape. So, you know what I think I am going to add? So there's 4 teaspoons and then 4.5. Now, let's just integrate that, and then we'll just start shaving with it and seeing what happens. Yeah, this looks even better. I'm glad I added the water. Plenty. That's amazing. Because I'm coming from using the Prix de Provence number 63, a French vegan soap. I think this one's vegan as well. And now look at that glob. Look how much more round it is. It's larger. Now we do have some of the little hills and a few hills and valleys and stuff when it comes to the back side of it. And also look, it's starting to come down toward my fingers. It's coming down on the brush. That's a good sign if you are a person who is seeking wet lathers, and that is me. Normally with this 2-band brush as well, I like to soak it for a little bit longer, but it's a quick shave tonight. And since it is a quick shave, I'm going to go ahead and use this lather. So, wet my face again. All right. This is a dense brush. Lots of hairs in there. And so instead of only using a stirring motion, I would sometimes pick it up out of the soap, out of the lather, press it down into the lather to force some of the lather in between the bristles. And that has opened up the knot for sure. That also makes for easier to splay brush if you're a person who likes to lather in the splay. What that means is if you just use the tips, then you're kind of staying out like this. But I like to press in a little bit, maybe 50%, so that 50% of the hairs have been kind of opened up a little bit. You don't want to cram the whole thing into your face and until you can't push it anymore. That's probably going to cause the brush to not last very long or to deform. And I have definitely got some concentrate on my face here. Definitely add some more water to this. And you can see what's going on. Look around the side of the brush. It's just, as I've been working it on my face, it keeps making more lather on the outside of the brush. And this brush does feel very nice. Soft tips. It has a moderate amount of backbone. Medium. It's still easy to splay, but it is holding those tips, those nice, soft, comfortable tips. It is keeping those focused at my face. It's not letting them bend over and stay there. Since I am in a little bit of a rush, I'm not going to keep adding too much water to this. I will go ahead and put in, so now we have 6 teaspoons of water in the lather. I went ahead and put some in the bowl here, another teaspoon, and I'll mix that up in between passes when I cut away from you to rinse and that sort of thing. And cold water, it is winter. All right. Haven't used this razor in a while. It's a gap that's not very aggressive, but it still cuts me nice and closely. I still feel a little bit of a razor blade. It's not totally gone. It's not that smooth. Nice and efficient. I think I recall other blades being a little smoother than this one, but you know, this is a 13 use blade, so maybe this razor is a little too mild for one with this many uses, but actually 13, I rarely have a problem even in mild razors with a 13 use blade. It's when it gets up to 30 that I start having to change my razor for that particular blade, get something a little bit more in the medium range in terms of aggression, because the mild ones start to, around 30 or 40, start to they're not able to maybe hold the blade at the right angle to keep things comfortable. All right, a nice first pass. All right, so I'm integrated that extra teaspoon now, so 6 teaspoons in the lather, and I've still got tons. Yeah, see that lather looks even better than before. That is nice. The sheen is really pretty, but the way the lumps, the hills and valleys are in this soap, just I like it. Don't have to scrub too much since I already did the first pass, so I'm going to switch to the painting type strokes. Kind of flop back and forth like that. Plenty of lather on my face. Now cross grain. And that's where we're starting to really enjoy the comfort of this lower gap. I mean, some guys like those higher gaps, and you know, good for them. But I'm really more about the comfort. I don't have a job that requires a high scrutiny type shave, so I don't need to try to get that baby butt smooth like some guys do. And of course, some guys go for the baby butt just because that's their own preference and not because of their job. But some guys need it because they're a lawyer or something high profile and presentable, where your presentation is crucial. Salesman, high type, large inventory, large cost salesman, like fancy cars, something like that, perhaps. I'm just guessing. Really slick lather. Now, I don't think it competes with the Barrister and Man grouping that I mentioned before. You know, Declaration Grooming, Noble Otter, Holy Cow, you know, those guys, because they're just so good. But this is still an excellent soap, in my opinion, that makes an excellent lather. It's slick, protective, feels very nice on the face. Nice scent. I'd say it's 5 out of 10 in terms of scent strength, so you're going to be able to enjoy it. The only trouble is I was looking for another scent to buy from them, or at least to keep on the lookout for on the used market, because that's where you can get a deal. That's where I got this one. And I was, you know, it's good to do your research beforehand so that if a good deal comes up, I can know, like the original scent from him came up, and I was able to see that it has some elements that I don't like sage or, you know, rosemary or, you know, something like that. I think a lot of the European French type scents are just not my thing, and that's okay. Everybody's got different styles. Now, third pass, I'm going to gently tug the skin right here this way, and then my chin is lifting up this way to tighten that area just a little bit, because this is my trouble spot right here. And I've found out that this is a cross-grain pass just in the opposite direction from how I shaved it on pass number 2, and I'm keeping it very, very light. And I'm feeling for, listening to my skin. If I go too far over a certain area, then it'll start kind of being an against the grain type pass, and my skin will let me know. And there we go. And sometimes I think it's a little soothing if you take some of the kind of excess lather or lather that was in your ears or goatee or something, and work it into the area you just shaved. And that's 3 passes. I'm going to rinse and take a look at everything. And yeah, it's an excellent shave. The closeness in that trouble spot is tremendous. So to me, if I can get such a close shave while having that comfort of a low gap razor, then I'm not going to be expanding and trying to get those higher gaps at all. Now, I get it. Perhaps those higher gaps are better for people whose skin allows them to go against the grain. In my case, against the grain would be from south to north on the cheeks, and it would be starting here and then coming up and across like that, and then it would, against the grain, would be up forward this way just a little bit and then curving back like that. Well, on my neck, that apparently lifts my skin up into the path of the blade, and so I end up with cuts and irritation. And so I'm just happy with what I can get with a cross grain type shave. So we've got a fresh green scent going on. Let me look down below and see what might be complementary to that. I have a Sandalwood Balm down there from Lather and Wood that I bought a few years ago. I don't know if that's a good company to deal with nowadays. I think maybe things have changed a little bit with it in terms of maybe how it's, you know, the owners or whatever, but it's still a good product and I enjoy it. And the scent on the sandalwood is really authentic, at least in the woodiness that I really like with sandalwoods. And I think that would match really well with the greenness of this vetiver. But I haven't used my Short Dressed Man in so long that I just wanted to work it. And I'm pretty sure it, first I'm pretty sure it needs to be shaken up. I haven't used it in so long, it's changed a little bit. And you can tell by the label that it's not a current, it's not the current style that they use. And I think the greenness should mix nicely with with kind of similar greenness of the Sharp Dressed Man. And Sharp Dressed Man is it's inspired by green Irish tweed, a classic scent, I think worn by like Clint Eastwood or Clark Gable or something like that. At least famously worn by that person. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay, so I think that flows very nicely with the Vetiver. So a win there. And let's take a look at all this lather. 20 seconds is all I did. And I still have 3 or 4 passes of lather still in the bowl. That is crazy. It's crazy. On a hard soap, it's not a triple milled soap, I don't think. And so it's not like PDP or Fine or Tobacco or DR Harris Hard Pucks or Mitchell's Wool Fat. However, it's hard enough to make me think that 20 wasn't going to be enough. I was doubting. Well, no need to doubt anymore. And look at that. That's kind of got some elasticity that I like right there. I could go probably a little wetter, but with this mix, I think this is perfect for this lather for my preferences. It can definitely go wetter, but I'd lose some of that creaminess. All right, so I want to also just take a look closer to the creaminess that we have here. I'll pull out a big old handful of this, and we'll pull it across and just kind of see. If I do this, yeah, look how it sags. That's terrific. I like that. It's not staying straight out. It feels creamy. It feels really, really good. Definitely a luxury type soap when mixed at this hydration level. Yeah, that is slick. See, that's not overrated. That's a good soap. That is a good soap. I don't think it's a tallow soap. I didn't see any of those tallow ingredients, but they have figured out a good formula. There are slicker soaps out there, so that's why I'm not saying it's the same as some of those top tier guys. But it's a respectable, luxurious feel soap. And for them to be able to pull that off with what I think is a vegan mixture, that's pretty good. Yeah, it smells nice. And it's not super strong on your face after the shave. During the shave, it's very present and enjoyable, not in an irritating way, but it doesn't linger a long time after the shave, and so it's not going to get in the way, even if you pulled up something contrary from the post-shave drawer. I think it would still agree, because the vetiver would just back down plenty enough to not overshadow or clash with any scent you wanted to choose after. And here we are. We gave it a good stropping on the towel to remove any excess moisture. So now this can set on its base or on a hanger. Either way, it'll dry the same. And I'm very happy with the performance of this brush today. It doesn't have gel tips, and that's fine with me, as long as they're nice and soft and they splayed easily. It wasn't work to keep it kind of partially pressed in. And as you moved the brush along, just felt terrific. So I continue to be happy with that. The 2-band Shavemac. There is a 2-band Shavemac that is a DO1 knot, and that has a lot more backbone. It's not as soft. I tried one of those a couple years ago. Not my thing, but that one is. And that's the 2-band Silvertip, apparently, that is not the DO1. And I could be happy if that was the only brush I had, because it's soft and enjoyable. It's a very, very nice brush. So 6 teaspoons of water, 20 seconds of loading, and I had 8 passes of lather. That's crazy. Enjoyed the razor. This blade may not be a perfectly compatible blade for this razor, but that's okay. This razor works for this blade works for a lot other of my razors. So it's just fun trying that out. Set everything over there to dry as I clean up. And as you can tell, you can just barely see, you can't really even tell that any soap was removed from the top of the container. So I think it's just going to last a long, long time. They're changing the container. I'm really glad I was able to obtain this one. I think it's a substantial, heavy container, and I'm sure it cost them. And so they're improving their profit margin by changing to a container a little bit less sturdy. And so, but I'm glad I got this one. I like it a lot. I think it adds to the experience. All right. Very good. I'm a happy camper. I'm going to clean up my gear. All right. Well, there we go. We've taken care of that shave for this evening. Time to go to sleep. Get up early. Make the drive into work. I'm going to have to use that Sharp Dressed Man balm a lot more because it's starting to separate a little bit. And I really do enjoy the scent, so I'm going to use it before it goes bad. Balms don't last forever, but I'm sure this one's a few years old and it's still doing well. Feels good on my face, and it gives a nice scent. I'm able to pick it up still, so that's good. Razor blade did pretty well. Soap did great. The feel on that soap, just nice. It may not be as good as some of the tallow soaps that are out there. Even some of the good ones, just not top tier, like, maybe Stirling. Stirling might be a little better, maybe. But Fine accoutrements, I think I like a little bit better than Stirling, and I think Fine will beat this one, and it's a lot cheaper. But I'll probably keep this tub around for a little bit, and I'll definitely put it. I think I'm going to do a kind of a bracket type competition for soap base, where I kind of pit them against each other and see who comes out on top. And when you contrast them like that, a lot of times you learn, you're able to identify attributes about them that you may not if you just kind of take them here and there as you're just kind of a random choices. I don't know, something that's been going around in my head. Make a chart or something like that. Wouldn't that be neat? Kind of like the March Madness here in the in America. We have the basketball competition in March, the final, the grouping of the best teams, and it starts with 64, 32, something like that. Gets down to the top 16, then the top 8, then the final 4, and of course then the final championship. So. And so it's usually represented in terms of a bracket, and it's a single elimination to where the teams would the winner would keep moving in kind of toward the center. So I'm kind of envisioning that for soap bases for me, and just it'd be fun. All right, well there we go. I don't think I'm capable of making a short shaving video. I did do in 9.5 minutes. I shaved a 3-pass shave. It was a face lather from a mug, probably Fine accoutrements, Santal Absolute. Maybe it was something like Mitchell's Wool Fat, but 9.5 minutes, and that's from start to finish, full setup and tear down, just to illustrate the point that this enjoyable hobby that some of us have doesn't have to take 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes. It can be short if you need it to be, and you can get the benefits of it there. You can search that one online if you want. Maybe look for Sugar Daddy Shaves. Sugar Daddy has no vowels except for the Y, underscore, and then shaves, and then space, and then try something like 9.5 minute 3-pass shave or something like that. I think you should be able to find it. I've never had a problem finding it just with that kind of terminology. Well, there we go. I sure hope there was something here for you. I was reminded about how nice the Martin de Candre is, and the Wolfman's one of my favorite razors, and so I just wanted to get back to it because it had been a while, and I want to try a new blade in it. And then I'm looking at that Shavemac brush that I used today. A lot. It's up on one of the ones that I keep up there on the shelf because I'm kind of evaluating it. And it's a great example of a 2-band brush, so I've used it and brought it down to show you many different times. And so I just I thought that would be a good companion to the Martin de Candre soap, and it really was. So there we go. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You take care. Have a good night.